Hello everyone, this is Cindy and I'm ready to start on another group of tags. We're going to be starting with number 58. And 58 is making a booklet out of playing cards. And I got this idea from someone's YouTube channel, but I of course, like always, I don't remember who it was. But anyway, these are pretty simple. First thing you need to do, of course, is sand your card so that your glue and stuff will stick to it. And then you're going to cover the front with some scrapbooking paper, and you're going to make a hinge out of washi tape, or in this case I used a scrap of ledger paper. And then just decorate it however you want, collaging, whatever you want, strips of paper, a little die cut. And I just put some blank paper on the insides and on the back for journaling. So that's that one. Here's one that's covered with dictionary page and some just different scraps I had around, some die cuts and a stamp. And then just blank paper on the inside and a little design on the back. This one is covered with, and I didn't use a hinge on this one, I just laid it onto a envelope, business envelope. You can see the part of the envelope there, that stripe there. Anyway, just put the two pieces on there and then cut around it, and it worked just fine as well. And then of course decorated it. And on this one I completely covered the inside. I didn't show any of the card, and sometimes I like part of the card showing and sometimes I don't. And on this one I made my hinge out of one of these silk leaves, and then just used decoration and scrap paper. So anyway, let's just try to make one of these real quick. I've already put the scrapbooking paper down on the fronts of the cards, so I did that part already. And then you're just going to glue. On this case, I'm going to try again with the leaf as the hinge, and just put some Fabri-Tac on it. And while we're waiting on that to get going, I just use scraps of paper that I've had from other projects for the insides, and it's a good way just to use scraps out of your tub or whatever you're collecting all your scraps on. So anyway, I try to line the cards up, you know, back and front, and then just center that leaf over there. Then I'm going to just kind of hold it in place till that glue catches. Just kind of smoothing it out. And then I can go back and add more glue around the edges if I need to. But anyway, that kind of holds it in place, and that makes a pretty good little hinge. And then on the insides, I will just take a scrap of paper and just kind of eyeball it. Tear it. You could cut it, however you want to do it. Ink it up. My ink pad's just about gone dry. And then glue it down, and I'm not going to take the time to do all that right now, but you get the idea. Glue it down, put another one there, something on the back, and then I had a little collage somewhere that I could, you know, just glue on the front. So that's idea number 59, just making a booklet out of greeting cards and just scraps. Okay, I have a lot of ideas, that's why I want to keep moving today. All right, that's 59, or 58. That was 58, not 59. All right, this is 59, and it is just making a booklet out of scrapbook paper, just leftover strip of it, and then just leftover strips of whatever paper you have, blank paper, whether it's coffee dyed, tea dyed, or just whatever. And you just fold this over and staple it, and you've got a little booklet. And on this one, I folded it over, stapled it, and then just put a little lace on it. And I just used scraps of this graph paper. So basically, you just gather your scraps of paper and get your piece of scrapbook paper, fold it in half, and just put it over your blank paper and just staple. And then whatever design you want to put on the front, if you want lace or if you just want to leave it blank. And I always like to decal the edges, so I'm just going to come up a ways from the bottom of the scrapbook paper and just cut those off, and there's another little booklet. And if you want to, you can ink all those pages up as well. So that's idea number 59. A booklet made out of scrapbooking paper, folded over. And idea 60 is very, very similar to it, except I'm calling it more like a tablet. It's the same sort of thing. You get leftover blank papers from a book or just copy dye papers and a piece of scrapbook paper. And instead of folding the full length, you're just folding over the top. So that way it's more like a little tablet. So you just gather your blank paper and just kind of center it over your scrapbooking paper and fold the top down and staple it. And then I'm just going to cut that one a little, those two a little shorter. I don't really want them sticking over the back. And there's another tablet. And then of course you can decorate it however you want. So that's idea number 60, just making booklets out of leftover paper. All right, idea number 61. Let's get rid of all this real quick. Is same sort of thing. It's your leftover scraps of blank paper. And this time we're not using scrapbook paper to make a cover. We're just putting some lace or some trim on the top. And I used just a little scrap of trim there. I stapled it first and then just glued the trim right on top. And on this one, the trim is actually the seam from a pair of blue jeans. So when I was tearing them apart, I thought, oh, that kind of makes a piece of good trim. So anyway, that's another booklet idea. Just the paper, a staple, and some leftover trim. All right, idea 62 is a card, a tag, that's got a slot in it, 2 slots in it, and you can slip something through the slit. On this one, I was practicing cutting it, and I found this piece of ephemera that I thought that's perfect size to go through these slits. Because I originally saw the idea somewhere, and it was like a Christmas card thing of some sort, and they had a candy cane running through theirs, which of course that would be way too thick. So is there a piece other than making a tag, a small tag? Is there some ephemera that would fit through those slots? And oh yes, you know, you can find several. I think that came from Junk Journal Junkies website, Facebook site. And on this one, it's just part of a box from some decorative, some soaps came in. So anyway, then I was looking, like I said, to see what I could find to go through the slots. And I thought, oh, that would be a cute way to put your business card in there, in the slots. And then when I was doing that, I thought, you know, no, that's not how you want it. You want it to be the opposite way. You want the 2 ends tucked under the slot. And that way the bulk of your business card will show. And same way with this tag, probably. You'd rather have maybe the bulk of the tag show, I mean the small tag showing. So depending on what you're putting through the slot, you might want to have the front of it showing or just the 2 ends. But anyway, let's go over real quick how to make one of these. Mine is a 3x6 piece of manila folder, and I just covered it with some scrapbooking paper. So it can be obviously whatever size you want or need. And then I just took a ruler and I measured down at 2 inches and 4 inches and drew a line. Make sure you can see that. Sometimes I definitely get it out of frame. All right, so it's 3x6, a line across at 2 inches and 4. And that just kind of gives me the center of the tag. And then I take my paper trimmer, and mine is a really old one. I've had it forever. And I'm sure if mine has this on it, then everybody else's does too in some form or the other. My cutting line is down the middle here, and on this side I've got inches, and on this side is centimeters. And I know that I'm going to line up on my cutting groove that 2-inch line I just drew. And depending on what I'm going to thread through the slots in the tag, it depends on how wide I need to cut that. So some of my cut like from 5 inches from the edge and ended 5 8 inches from the other side. Or some I did half and half, half an inch and half an inch. It just depends on what you're going to thread through. But anyway, I'm going to try to show you this let's see, it may have to be sideways. So anyway, I'm going to, on this one, I'm going to do 5/8. And so my little cutter has like a little arrow there, and I need to line it up with the 5/8 mark on this side. And I'm just going to make sure it's down in there, and I slide it to the 5 inches from the end, and then lift it up. And that gives me a slit without going on the 2 edges. I'm going to turn this around so I can hold it easier. And on that 4-inch mark, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find 5/8, push it down in there, and slide it up without sliding my card to about 5/8 from the other end. And that should give me the 2 slots. There they are. And then it's just a matter of sliding something through. Now, do I want it to show like that? Or do I want it to show the other way? So it just depends on what look you want. And then on this one, I'm going to cut off and make it look more like a tag. Give me the tag shape. So anyway, that's something an idea you can play around with and just see, you know, how it works for you. And like I said, depending on what you're going to slide through is how big you're going to have to cut those slots. So that is idea number, what, 62? Or is it 61? It's 62. I never can keep the numbers straight. All right. So the next one, let's see how we're doing on time. All right, we're doing pretty good. I definitely got this idea from Gail Agnostinelli. She showed it on one of her videos, and I wish I knew which one it was because I would go back and watch it again and see exactly how she did it, because I'm not sure I've got what she had. But anyway, it's a waterfall of sorts, and it's just made out of scrapbooking paper. And on this one, I just used one design, a paper, and since mine was white on the back, I just did every other one white and the colored and the white and the colored, and that way it really, you could see the differences in the different layers. You could do it obviously with just a variety of papers, and like this one, one of my papers is different, but I still have the white backgrounds. And the reason I have one that's different is because when I was doing this, I realized you really need an even number sheet of papers, because if you're just using like 2 colors, the front and the back of the cardstock, then 3 doesn't really work, and an odd number doesn't work. So I had to stick a 4th one in there. And also this one, of course, is a lot longer. And this is really too long for most junk journals. So and the way I did this is I took one sheet of scrapbook paper, 12 by 12 paper, and then I cut it in 4 3-inch wide strips. So, but that really makes one too long. So for this demonstration, I took a sheet of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper and I cut 4 inches off and made it 12 by 8. Yes, so these are 8 inches long, 12 by 8. And then I cut it into 4 3-inch wide strips. Okay, so 4 3-inch wide strips, and they're 8 inches tall. Obviously, you know, you can make the measurements work with whatever project you're doing. And if I was smart, I would have cut off my 4 inches where that writing was, but I didn't. So you're going to see that on these, but I would try to figure out a way to hide that next time I do it. So, you know, I'm just taking every other one, color one, white one, color one. And like I said, mine's white on the back, so it's pretty easy just to flip them over. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it about a 1/2 inch. It's like stair steps. And there's that one I don't want to show. That writing, I mean. Okay, get those kind of lined up. And then go back and make sure everything's straight. And then you're just going to fold it forward. Let me make sure I'm in frame when I do that. So you're just going to fold it forward. And then continuing. Get them lined up again. Continuing to keep your same equal distance, you're just going to fold it over and kind of line it up again. and just take a stapler and staple them. And then of course you can go back and put some lace or something over that. That makes it a better size, and it's just like a waterfall. And if you're off a little bit, you can trim it up, of course. But anyway, that was idea 63, I believe, and I got that idea from Gail. All right, the last idea is making a journaling card out of a Rolodex card. And if you have some in your stash, that's pretty much already ready to go, except maybe some little decoration. But if you want to make your own, you might have a little tool like this. And I was lucky that years ago a friend gave me this, and I actually kept it. And it is just made to cut little slots. Basically, it's made, if you get business cards, you can put the little holes in them and put it on a Rolodex. So this, you just take it like that, and it cuts the little slots for it. And then, of course, you can round the corners to make it look more like a Rolodex card. But what if you don't have one of these fancy little things? Well, of course, you could take one that you have, a Rolodex card you might have, trace around it, and then try to fussy cut those things out. And trust me, you won't do that more than a couple of times. You decide, nah, that's not for me. So what I tried to come up with, just to see if it would work, was to make slots using just like a hole punch. So, and that's, you know, you may or may not like the look of it. The one thing I did learn after all the different attempts of trying it is you can't put your holes too high up. So I would only go maybe, I don't even know, that's not even, maybe a ½ inch, and punch it. And definitely don't have it too close together either. So maybe a ½ inch at the top of your circle. And obviously my puncher's not cutting real well. But anyway, and then just take a pair of scissors and cut out that little divot. I don't even know what those things, I'm sure they have a name, but whatever that is. So if you had a Rolodex thing, I don't know what they're called either, Rolodex, I guess, then, you know, that's the holes it would slip on. So anyway, that's the way to make your own. And of course, you can go and just round your corners. It's definitely a day when none of my punches are wanting to cut good. So round your corners. You can make your own holes, and you can put them closer together or further apart depending on what you want. So anyway, that's idea 64, I believe, and just making your own Rolodex cards to use as journaling cards. So anyway, that's the ideas for today. So I thank you for watching. Bye.